County, bro.
Buncombe County, Buncombe.
Oh, okay, Buncombe. I thought you said bumpkin, like country bumpkin. I was about to say something else.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
It's a different county. All right, so it's not
Different
bumpkin, it's Buncombe. Okay.
Buncombe.
I was just trying to figure that out because it sounded strange when you said it. And I was like, hold up, Jack. This is not, this is not it right here.
Well, speaking of not being it, and I am one for freedom of speech, and I'm definitely about freedom of speech, but I had on my Facebook post yesterday, several people noticed that I did not see it. I probably would have, might have said some cuss words if I had seen it. But apparently, I believe it was yesterday, somebody, because you can hire a plane and you can put whatever banner you want to on that plane. But somebody flew over several counties in North Carolina, including Durham, which is a predominantly African American community, with a flag in support of the son of the Sam statue that used to stand in Chapel Hill. So they flew with a Confederate flag across the skies of North Carolina. Like I said, I do understand freedom of speech. I'm a big fan of freedom of speech, but that one, folks were definitely caught off guard by that. They did not appreciate that. But, freedom of speech can actually be a double-edged sword because while they decided to do that, people on Facebook also called them out, and they posted, one, the person that I think flew the plane, and two, the people that were behind flying the plane on Facebook. So I think they were like saying, look, we can understand you want freedom of speech, but we also have the freedom of speech to call y'all out and let it be known who you were.
Dang. Wow.
They did that on Sunday, and like I said, I looked on Facebook, I believe it was yesterday, and I'm seeing several friends of mine say that they had seen it, but then they also did due diligence and did research, and they were like, found out who ordered the plane, who the pilot was, and I think both of them had Facebook accounts, and they got called out on their Facebook account. So they were like, look, y'all did it, and you want to be proud of doing it, we're going to let everybody know who you are.
Might as well put you on blast. If you're bold enough to do it, you need to be bold enough to deal with what comes from it.
Exactly.
Especially when you go ahead, you put yourself on Front Street. We're just telling everybody where you live,
That's it. We say, look, you on Front Street, and we're going to tell the exact address. If you're at 130 Front Street, we're going to say, look, that's where he lives at, 130 Front Street. So, yes, you're absolutely right. I understand you had some positive news in your world. Speaking of things happening in the world, I understand that there was some good news in the world of Dean.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I've been elected the vice president of my chapter in the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So, we took the oath of office on Saturday, and looking forward to seeing what work we can get done these next 2 years.
So these are 2-year terms that you are a part of?
Yeah, 2-year terms. The next elections are coming in October of 2020.
Okay.
So for the next 2 years, it's up to the current administration to get something done. Hopefully we'll move in a positive direction.
Well, from what I know of you, Dean, I'm sure that y'all will move in a positive direction and will keep things moving right along in a positive direction. There's no doubt of that in my mind whatsoever. Now, one of the things that I had going on this weekend was on Saturday I had a very busy day because on Saturday I got up early in the morning because I had to go. I'm on board for the Carolina Theater, and like a lot of boards, we had a retreat. And so we did a retreat with our consultants. I believe they were folks that had a background in business and executive development and things of that nature. So it was a wonderful retreat. We laid some things on the carpet, talked about some things that we want to see done better at the Carolina Theater, including how we will handle this growing market that is becoming a definitely more diverse market. We have a growing Latino community. We have a growing Asian community, and we want to make sure that we are addressing their needs as well as the needs of the African American community and the LGBT community and other communities. So all of that was discussed in our retreat, how we will do that, and also we just hired not that long ago a new executive director, so trying to find out, whether we think that they are going in the direction that we would like to see them going in, and if they're not, how we can steer them in those kind of directions that we might want them to go in. And basically also talking about having like a business plan, because, even nonprofits have to have a business plan that they need to change on a regular basis. And so we talked about that and just ways that we can get this thing moving right along. So that was definitely interesting discussions that was had, and folks they even tried to, I don't know, at one point something that we talked about on this show. I think we talked about it with Maria last week and everything. At one point somebody was mentioning, because I had brought up the fact that we needed to make sure that we were addressing the Latino community, and somebody brought up that the Carolina Theater had an artist that was apparently very popular in Mexico, and that they brought him into the Carolina Theater. And one of my co-board members was like, yeah, but do we know that person was popular in the Mexican community here? And not only that, but do they represent, how popular are they to the entire Latin community? Just because they're popular in Mexico don't mean that they're popular to Mexicans here, and it also doesn't mean that they're going to be popular to other parts of the Latin community. So definitely was some interesting discussions that were had during that discussion, so I was glad to be part of that and definitely enjoyed being part of that. But then I had to roll right from there into work at the Haytime, where we were having a gospel play that went on into the late hours. But there were several vendors there that are selling all kinds of materials. There was an author, and I've actually talked to her about getting on the show in the not too distant future. There was the author of the play, but then there was an author that was one of the vendors, as well as a young lady that makes her own line of soap. Sounds like she makes her own product, so I talked to her about being on the show, and a couple of the other vendors. But there were definitely some interesting people that were there that hopefully will be joining our family as part of our show in the next, if not the end of this year, definitely into 2019. So that was definitely some good conversation that was had, and I'm definitely looking forward to reaching back out to them and seeing how we can get them involved with our show. And the day before that was a celebration of, I believe, the 20th anniversary of SARN, which is Southern Anti-Racism Network, and Teresa Elamine has had that organization for 20 years. She was actually moved here by Cynthia Brown, I believe it was, as an organizer, and then she started her organization 20 years ago. So they celebrate their 20th anniversary. Some friends of mine with Through the Labor Ensemble, which is they have their own band and everything, but they're also an organizing group, as well as some other artists performed. And, of course, there were a few folks that spoke as well. So I saw Representative McKissick. He came to that event, as did Mayor Pro Tem Jillian Johnson, who's been on our show, and who said that she would love to come back on the show. So we may be hearing from her in the week of December. So and Mr. McKissick said he might even call in today. So we definitely were out there, and people are talking about it. As a matter of fact, I got the impression that Jillian might even listen to us on a regular, because she was like, yes, I've keep track of what the podcast is doing. So we've got some big names that are listening to us both here in North Carolina as well as in New Jersey and other parts of the country. So we've got some folks that we can call our regular listeners, because that's the impression I got from Jillian, is that she listens on a regular basis. And I heard from, and I also went to a conference, had a little bit of downtime from measurement, so I did get a chance to get to some things that I usually would not get to. But I went to Duke campus. They were having some young ladies talking about theater as change, but they were talking about it from the perspective of doing it in Turkey. And we know Turkey can sometimes be a repressive government. Apparently at one point they had a whole lot of independent theaters, and a lot of them have been shut down, but these are people that are determined to stay in the game and to make change and to be part of the change even as theater artists, whether that's as an actor, as a director, or as whatever part of the field they want to do. But it was really interesting hearing them talking. As I talked, I was like, whoa, a lot of what y'all are going through is what folks even here in the States go through. So I told them that I need to put them in touch with some of the theater communities from North Carolina, some of the theater communities from New Jersey, just some of the theater communities from the U.S., because even though they are all the way across the ocean in Turkey and are in part of a different kind of government system, a lot of the repressions and things that we feel threatened by, a lot of the rising rents that we feel threatened by, are things that they also feel threatened by as well. really interested in talking to them about that. And like I said, you know me, anytime I reach into new people, I invite them onto the show. So I do tell them that I would love to hear from them. So hopefully we might be hearing from Turkey in the not too distant future, and we can hear them tell their story, not just me giving you a little bit of a rehash of what I saw when I went to this lecture that was happening. I believe it was on either Tuesday or Wednesday. And then I don't know if you know this, but I never thought of Sammy as an activist. But we showed a movie on Sammy Davis Jr. on Thursday. I got to that after I did my other radio show, and they talked about how he was actually involved in the activist community. I know that some activists later on, particularly when he became when he got, some people would say, played by the Vietnam War and Nixon when he went over there and was talking to the veterans and everything. Well, the soldiers at that time, they weren't veterans. They're now, some of them that are still living are veterans now. But when you talk to them, some people may have felt that he got played by Nixon when he went there during that visit. But apparently when he met MLK, he became a fan of Martin Luther King, and he was also apparently even helping find some financiers for some of the things that Martin Luther King Jr. was doing. So there were some things in this movie that I was not aware of, but apparently the movie, for those of you that we're not able to come to Durham and see the movie, apparently it will be airing on PBS sometime in January or February. And I think that you'll learn a lot of things about Sammy that we did not necessarily know. I mean, a lot of people already knew about his love affairs with different white actresses and things of that nature, but there was other parts of his life that we did not necessarily know, including, which I can understand, but apparently at one point he was in love with Kim Novak or something, but the powers that be in the studio were like, no, and they almost forced him to marry a sister, which is, I believe, his first wife. But apparently, one of the big wigs in Hollywood was like, no, this is not going to happen. But they talked about that. They also talked about the on-air kiss that he had of I believe it was a actress of that time that just shocked people when he did that on Broadway, as well as his on-air kiss of the lead actor that played on All in the Family, because apparently he did that, and I don't know that was all planned, but it was something that the director of that movie talked about in the movie, or the producer, I should say, but Norman Lear would be the producer. So he talked about that, and it was just some interesting things that were revealed in that movie that shared a little bit of light on his life. Like I said, I was members of my family that were not the biggest Sammy Davis Jr. fan. I'm not saying that I necessarily was the biggest fan of him in the Rat Pack, but it was just interesting in learning some things about what was going on, including the segregation of Las Vegas when the Rat Pack was so popular. Because, there was a time that we couldn't even go into the Strip in terms of living there. We had to live way out in the boondocks somewhere.
Wow. Man. Stay busy, right?
Yeah, try to stay busy. Got to stay in the loop, guys, to keep things rolling along, see what we can do. And hopefully at some point this afternoon, I'm hoping that we'll hear from him. I'm waiting to hear from Tequila Jim from Rhode Island, New York area, because he's supposed to be giving us a call to talk about his music career and what he's doing and everything, because it sounds like he's got a very interesting life. So Tequila Jim, if you're listening, we're waiting to hear from you, just like we're waiting to hear from Church the Poet, because both of them, I know Tequila Jim told me as recently as, I believe, Saturday, that he was looking forward to being on the show, and he was even talking about strumming some instruments with us. So hopefully we'll be hearing from Tequila Jim in the not-too-distant future.
Okay. Cool.
Definitely waiting to hear from him and see what he's got to do and everything. But in the meantime, if you could, because I did talk to Floyd, and I wanted to hear what Floyd's got to say about this current political race. So if you want to put on some music, you can do that right about now. And I'm going to reach out to Mr. McKissick and see if we can't get him to call in to talk about the current political race, because he can talk more than I can about the way that the supermajority was broken up. And I have his phone number, so I can reach him right now, and also maybe be able to reach Church and see if we can't get them on the phone in the not-too-distant future. But if you want to throw on one of them old tracks from maybe something with that group that you're part of.
We'll put something on. We'll put something on. So, we'll get it rocking. Go ahead, do what you do. We'll be right back.
The voice of the people is now known as Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. Call in and comment on the conversation at 646-668